Hello and welcome to Neverwinter's Oregon. In this video I'd like to confirm that yes, we will be getting Mythic mounts fairly soon. Along with that we'll also get, by the end of this year, a new race, the Aasimar race. You would be familiar with it if you ever played D&D. It essentially is angelic type race, and we'll go more in depth with it a little bit later. So mainly in this video I just want to go over the new roadmap that they have updated, and also essentially questions and answers that they went through on their stream just 2 days ago. So first up, we have kind of the objective of the company. They kind of want to make content more faster, but to be kind of smaller in scale. Kind of deviating from the main thing where we used to just have one big mod, we'd have a ton of content, and then we wouldn't have content for a good few more months until we get another mod. They're trying to deviate to that we'll have content coming out every week or so, but it will be at a smaller scale. This ties into the fact they want kind of more episodic content. They're still trying to figure out exactly the most ideal way to put it. Rage of Bell was the first one that they did, and they're seeing and collecting results of how they did there and kind of progressing on and trying to refine it and make it better. On the roadmap we can now see exactly when the new class will be coming. It will be coming with mod 21. So it's still quite a while away before we get the new class. However, it has been hinted at that the new class will have a DPS paragon. This doesn't really answer many questions to what class it would be, as many of the classes not within Neverwinter currently would apparently have the ability to do more DPS, like the Bard and the Monk. They intend to have a long enclosed and open beta program on the new class with lots and lots of testing. For now, with regards to working on their classes, they kind of want to concentrate on the Barbie tank for now, make sure it's up to par with the other two tanks. As it is now, it still has a lot of trouble holding aggro. Other than that, they're definitely trying to make all DPS paragons more balanced. For example, the Whisper Knife on the Thief is still way underperforming than all the others. They've been doing a good job recently on the Ranger in getting the range stance and also the melee stance kind of on par with each other. However, it's still not in an ideal situation. Keep in mind that not everything is on the roadmap. There should be smaller bug fixes and balance changes as we go along. Just because it isn't on the roadmap doesn't mean it's not going to happen. As for Strongholds, all you Stronghold fans out there, the Strongholds kind of came out at its own module, and this was a long time ago. The code for it currently now for the new developer team is like spaghetti code, so there's no real plans to completely rework it as of now, but when they do, it will be completely reworked. They'll have to rewrite the whole coding for it, and we'll see what happens there. Currently it's not on the roadmap, as they have no idea at what time in the future they would have that fully worked out. Another thing to keep in mind, the content coming out will not necessarily be fully aligned with the Wizards of the Coast content, meaning that when Wizards of the Coast, this is the official D&D company, when they come out with new content, it won't necessarily be exactly coming out within Neverwinter. With regards to events, when they say they want to refresh an event, this means they just want to input new rewards essentially, new things to grind for, whatnot during that event. And when they say they want to fully rework the event, this means they'll be inputting new mechanics, new quests, and etc. And overall it would be a much larger change. You can see on the roadmap there, it kind of shows that they just want to refresh quite a number of events there, and then they want to completely rework the Siege event. With regards to content, they kind of feel that most people just want new stuff, like new dungeons, rather than refreshing the old ones. And thus they're gonna come out with a new dungeon fairly soon enough, as you would see on the roadmap there, being with mod 20. They've promised that the next mod 20, will be an entirely new setting, so we don't get too sick of being in hell all the time. Now for scaling. The intention for scaling is so that it's unobtrusive, so we won't need to change equipment, it won't be harder than if you were of that level with the content, and they're still working on this. For example, in its current state, you're better off taking off certain gear items so that you're below the item level cap, and therefore you're not scaled at all, and therefore you retain your weapon damage and the power from your other stats, and therefore you're actually much powerful in that regard. They believe they need scaling so that there's a much wider variety of content that would actually be valid and available to run. So basically you won't be stuck on like one dungeon that you'll just have to farm over and over again. to get the rewards. However, currently as it stands, all the rewards in most of the dungeons are just really bad, and it's very rarely that you get anything good. And yes, they have confirmed that this is the case, and that the current loot system is basically set up kind of like a loot box where you have premium loot drops that can occur on fairly low chances within like all of the chests of the queued content dungeons. So as of right now, all you can really do is get your daily AD and refine it and kind of hope for your best. On the chests in the end, they're pretty much all standardized. So other than just farming Tower of the Man-Mage, there isn't really any good loot that can be obtained. And they have realized this, and they intend to make a rework on the dungeon rewards. As you can see on the roadmap, they're promising it at essentially in October there, they promised improved dungeon rewards. With the way scaling is now, they're not particularly happy with it. They don't believe that it is currently completely balancing out all of the dungeons in the queues and such. And thus they don't really want to update the rewards to be better, because what will happen is that players will just choose one dungeon and such, and they'll just farm it over and over again, and it will end up being one of the easier dungeons, and thus they'll be able to get that loot much easier than if they had the scaling done properly, and therefore it would be kind of the same difficulty. So once they kind of have the scaling done, that's when they intend to fully rework the rewards to be much better, and they intend to do that on the roadmap there in mod 21, having the new reward drops essentially improved, basically creating a whole new reward drop system. As for Masterworks, that got pushed back. They believe there needs to be a lot more work needed on it, so they decided to make a smaller update regarding professions. So what they want to do is they want to make the level 80 items in the professions much more meaningful and competitive. So they want to take the highest gear and such, improve the item level and the stats, so that people can have competitive gear coming out of professions. The Masterwork update will have new tiers and new quests. The upcoming changes overall won't be influenced by the CDPs yet. This is the Community Development Program, since most of the work that they have inputted already was essentially created, most of it, before the CDPs happened. So we shall be seeing in the future content created based off the CDPs and kind of what we want. So we aren't currently there yet where the CDPs are having any effect yet. As for the new race, yes, we'll be getting an Aasimar race, which is pretty cool, kind of angelic race, which will be tying into kind of the setting that we currently have in Avernus, with kind of the angels kind of interrupting the blood war between the devils and the demons. And hopefully the race looks actually pretty cool. On screen here you can see like an example of Aasimar. In D&D they have a power where they can turn into like a angelic form for a period of time, where they gain those wings and are able to fly and such. It is unlikely that they will have that within Neverwinter, but we can only hope. It would be great if the race had the ability to have those wings, if only for a short period of time. Otherwise they kind of just look pretty much like a human, just a little bit more angelic in nature. With the regards to Cryptic Studios creating new races, they haven't tended to do it in the past. Like you may have noticed, there was a massive gap between when they made their next new race, which was the Gith. The reason being is they tried to make a new race, it kind of failed, it ended up a lot more problematic than it should have been. So they kind of left that to the side, they're creating new races, and they only took it back up when Undermountain came out, and they made the Gith race to tie in with mod 17. And that seemed to be a great success for them, so they've decided to make a new race now, yes, the Aasimar. However, the reason for creating a new race is not to generate revenue, but basically just to create a variety of options within the game. The Aasimar race will essentially be unlocked as like the capstone reward for the Redeemed Citadel episode content. You can see there it will span over a number of months, and essentially we'll be able to unlock the Aasimar race sometime in November to December. And essentially you'll just have to complete all the phases and extra quests and such, and you should be able to unlock the Aasimar race. As for the Redeemed Citadel itself, it won't require you to do Zariel's challenge whatsoever. You'll just have to do questing within Avernus. And with regards to this, they want episode content kind of mainly to be team orientated. Generally things will go a lot more smoother if you were in a party. They want episode content to make it feel like the world is evolving around you as the player. And yeah, when we look at the roadmap here, you can see it lists surprise there just during September. This surprise has been largely hinted at that it's going to be a rework of the mounts. And with this comes our mythic mounts. We'll probably only just get one during that time, but we'll see. They want to make big changes to the mounts overall. We can only see what that will be. Potentially making them all account wide. That would be great. But other than that, they could end up making, I don't know, different stats and whatnot on them. We can only wait and see. As for the well-desired storyteller journals, they don't really have any intention to bring Tales of Old back as of now, however they might do so, but they would prefer to come out with a new event and such that would essentially have the storyteller journals as essentially the rewards for them. Or essentially they would just create a new way of which you could obtain the storyteller journals within game. With Mod 21, the new adventure system, they want to make it so that the learning experience of the game will be much more streamlined and complete, so that when you get players queuing into random queues and such, that things will go much more smoothly. Not necessarily easier, just that each player partaking will be more properly equipped and skilled for that content, so you won't end up with things where things just keep failing again and again because your players are just not up to par. Currently, I believe a big result of this is the scaling system and the rating at which item level is essentially used to ascertain a player's potential with that character. Currently, it's way off thrown with bonding runestones and companion stats, which generate a whole lot more of your statistics than anything else would with the item level. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that was said on kind of the stream about the updated roadmap. There's definitely a few things that more could be detailed about, but anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful and informative, and see where the game is progressing to and kind of the future of what's going to be happening within Neverwinter. If I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like. If you're new around here, consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.